How many of us had close to a heart attack watching the Celtics game last Friday? Or have felt your heart race in that moment when your kid disappears in a crowded place for 2 seconds? Or what I'm feeling right now, speaking up here. I've always been fascinated by how our heart is the only organ that reflects how we feel and that we can feel. It's our inner clockwork that beats about 3 billion times in an average life, and sometimes even beyond, like this mouse heart still beating in a petri dish. What do you think all these celebrities have in common? That's right. Heart disease doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter age, sex, profession. It could be you or me at any time. Chances are, at least someone in your life is living with it. What if I told you there is a gold mine of potential treatments we've been overlooking all along? Some of them, cells that were in our hearts even before we were born. Actually, before the heart itself was even fully shaped. Understanding these overlooked cells could be the key to solving one of our most urgent medical challenges, because cardiovascular disease is still the leading cause of death globally. 1 in 5 people aged over 40 around the world will develop heart failure. About 25% of them will die within 2 years, and almost half are dead after 5 years. Heart diseases can be broadly categorized into rhythm disorders, which involve the electrical conduction system, poor perfusion that leads to stress and death of cardiac cells, and pump dysfunctions, where the heart either fails to effectively eject blood to perfuse organs or to adequately relax to fill back up. There's different origins of heart failure, but some of the most common ones are high blood pressure or interrupted blood flow. Profoundly shaken by these numbers and fascinated by the minuteness of this complex system, I started my career as a physician in cardiology, and I quickly became a researcher. I wanted to look at the cells that make up the heart. The most famous ones you see here, the so-called cardiomyocytes, these large, muscle-like beating cells that drive heart contraction. They make up about 30%. And then there's 70% of other cells. Of the close to 3 billion annual NIH funding for cardiovascular research, most efforts have focused on cardiomyocytes. But what about these other cells? In 2024, research investigating these other cells was about where cardiomyocyte research was over a decade ago. All that because they're big and loud and get all the attention. So why are the other cells so often dismissed as passive bystanders? Today, I want to introduce you to the hidden powers of the cells that have been neglected and overlooked for decades. Every dot you see on this map is a single heart cell. They're clustered close or far from each other based on their similarities, kind of like clustering people by traits and features. And today, we're going to speak about these not-so-passive immune cells. During a heart attack, our tissue-resident macrophages, the heart's neighborhood watch, call for help, summoning granulocytes, our fast and aggressive responders, that then help recruit monocytes from the blood into the heart, where they mature into macrophages, our professional eaters, to eat away dead cells and debris. These macrophages then also stimulate the formation of scarring tissue by specialized cells such as fibroblasts. Some of you may be aware that immunotherapy has revolutionized the way we treat cancer. What if it could do the same in the heart? A large trial involving over 10,000 patients with a history of heart attack tested this idea. By using a drug that blocks the inflammatory messenger IL-1 beta that immune cells use to coordinate and orchestrate their response, they showed that patients experienced significantly less cardiovascular events, such as heart attacks and stroke. Now, it's still early days and there is some fine-tuning to be done, but this is groundbreaking work. It shows that targeting inflammation in heart diseases can work. Another group, located here in Boston, is attempting to take on sudden cardiac death after a heart attack, which, as the name entails, usually ends fatally and is often driven by electrical instability. They found in a mouse model that lipocalin-2, a defense protein released by granulocytes, remember those are our fast and aggressive responders, actually elicited dangerous rhythm disorders. In contrast, macrophages, our professional eaters, played a protective role by rapidly clearing away the dying cells. Together, these findings paved the way for two new therapeutic avenues. One, to block harm, the other, to boost protection. Aren't all these findings, as you would say in French, palpitant? Exhilarating? Imagine if we could only reduce immunology and inflammation-related cardiovascular events by 10%. We could save hundreds of thousands of lives every year globally. For my part, I can't wait to see these once quiet cells become the loudest breakthroughs of tomorrow. Turn a biotech investor, we want to help back the paradigm shifts that will shape the future of heart care and healthcare. It turns out ECGs and stock charts have more in common than one might think. Both require steady nerves and a long view. If we can accelerate discovery and neglect no whisper in the noise, some of the lives we can change could be right here in this room. Thank you.